welcome to death row.
Like we always do about this time.
I'm gonna fight your fucking ass!
You're playing touch butt with that dork in the park.
There's a little snake in the grass.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
No fucking Jesus, people! I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody!
Hey, pussy, are you still there?
I back.
Who the fuck is that guy? Break out the red panties. We're rich, baby.
I would like to introduce...
Welcome to the MMA for Money Show, episode 59. In this show, we will review UFC Fight Night Island 5, Murad for Sandhagen. Yes, we need different names in this. And previewing Ortega versus Korean Zombie. I am Bob Boss, your favorite garbage man at MMA State of Mind. Here with Real Mike, although not yet. He'll be in here a little bit later. But the person who's actually here right now is Mike Gilman at Mikey Gills. That's Gills with a Z. If you spell it wrong, I don't know who you're going to find, but it ain't going to be this pretty man in his fancy attire. You can follow the show on Twitter at MMA4Money Show. Mikey Gills, how are you doing? Looking so dapper.
I'll tell you what, man. After you have a week like we did on Draftkings, you only wear the best. I had enough money after this weekend to buy a pocket watch. All right.
Ooh,
never in my life if I had that. I'm doing good though. Let's go. I'm excited.
That is absolutely, and that's one of the big things, and that's one of the reasons we brought Mike Gills in, because if you're with us on betting and if you're with us on DraftKings, it's incredibly hard to have a losing night, because even if we fail a little bit on bets, which we did last week, Mikey Gills came up more than made it back for you if you were playing with his picks and lineups on DraftKings. While the MMA for Money Show is here live right now on Twitch, Periscope, and YouTube. After the fact, you can find us on your podcast platform of choice: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcast, Overcast, Pocket Cast, the RSS feed. I said we're live on YouTube. We also have the full-length shows there. Please go rate, subscribe. You can see these pretty mugs. If you're currently listening to us and you can't see us, you have no idea why I keep talking about Mikey Gills being so dapper and good-looking. He is straight dressed to the nines, like he's about to accept an award. That makes me feel bad that I don't have one prefabricated for him. But you know what? If he keeps hitting DraftKings like this, I might have to get him a belt or something. Like, comment, and share to spread the word. We are going to jump right into the review for UFC Fight Island 5, Murad for Sandhagen. We are just going to do quick results, and then we are going to go back. Obviously, we have to talk about the crazy knockout and the co-main event, main event, and possibly a future heavyweight champion. It's all going to happen, but we're going to go fast, so we have more than enough time to go into Ortega versus Zombie fight card, because there's a lot more into that. And here's hoping by that point, Real Mike will join us. If not, it will be a little bit into that card. But we got a big bet for that fight card, so get pumped. Okay, so first off, Tagir Ulanbekov, huge favorite, but he got the unanimous decision. Tracy Cortez scored the unanimous decision over Stephanie Egger. Giga Chikadze at plus 125 beat Omar Morales by unanimous decision. Tony Kelly got the unanimous decision over Ali Al-Casey. And then, yes, the crazy knockout in a barn burner of like a round and a half. Impa Kasaganai versus Joaquin Buckley went for a kick, got it grabbed by Impa, and then with the same foot that was on the ground, leapt into the air, turned, and landed a Jimmy jump spinning back kick that has probably been aired around just about as much as any other MMA highlight that exists. So we're not going to like beat a dead horse, but that was insane. And sorry for Impa, because I still see a big horizon for that guy. I think he's got all the skills, but I don't know. I'm still a little bit speechless over it. So Mikey Gills, can you talk to me about your reactions to seeing that ridiculous KO?
Okay, so as we talked about, I was at a wedding, so I couldn't actually watch the fights live when it happened. But like everybody else in the world checking Twitter, I noticed the thing, and it's exactly what we talked about in the last show in regards to Buckley and versus Impa. Whereas I did pick Impa to win the fight, but what we said was that, you know, his fatal flaw is that when he gets in close, he leaves himself wide open for counters like that. And I watched the fight back, and I saw that a couple different times earlier in the fight, he went to grab that same kick, and the second or third time that he did it, you know, Buckley turned around and he sent one back at him. So, you know, congrats to him. Sucks for Impa. He's our show loves that guy, but you can't hate on anything like that. That was all time.
And he took the loss in stride, and those are the type of people that are going to come back. He didn't say that he made no mistakes. He didn't say that it's a fluke. It's like he's going to train and get better, which is what you want to see from a young-ish fighter. Next up, your second favorite heavyweight on the card, but still quite a heavyweight, Chris Daukaus, the plus 225 underdog, which we said this is the type of fight where you could just blindly bet underdogs at heavyweight end up ahead. Well, this was one of them. He got a KO, TKO with hooks. I was just going to keep going, but I know this is your boy. So,
yeah,
is this one of the ones you saw?
Oh, this is absolutely one of the ones I saw.
Then by all means, just sing Daukaus praises.
Oh, I picked him outright to win the fight. Chris the Money trained Daukaus for $7,000 for like the second fight card in a row for him. 2 months apart, he cashes for a grand total of about 240 points. I mean, what else do you have to say about that? No longer is Kyle Daukaus showing up at the Thanksgiving dinner with his chest puffed out. There's a new guy in the family. He's coming in confident. He's carving the turkey. He's sitting at the end of the table. That's just the way it is in the Daukaus household right now. But no, killed it for us. He was part of our lineup, one of our 2 underdogs that hit this week. One of our 6 of 7 underdogs over the last 3 weeks for DraftKings. Just on a hell of a hot streak right now. Chris Daukaus, thank you.
Next up, Tom Breeze was able to perform, which is hard to say. We didn't necessarily pick against him, but obviously there's so much going into every Tom Breeze fight. If he looked like this every time, this is what we want him to look like. He just tends to go in on himself and not quite get there. Ilia Topuria, who's actually a fairly trendy underdog pick, apparently for a reason. I was off on this one. I thought Zalal was going to have this one. Topuria pulls it off, unanimous decision. And then we're going to go to another entertaining fight. Another great fight. Yes, it was super fast, but I don't care. I don't care if Alan Badeau was a former light heavyweight or probably still light heavyweight. The English Frank Mir, Tom Aspinall, just straight killed this kid in round 1 with ground and pound TKO, just getting right on top and just landing just heavy shots. Was it a bit early? I mean, technically, because I don't think he was out, but I mean, he was putting up no defense and just kind of like half covering up his head and just eating shots by Tom Aspinall. I don't want to start calling him Tim. It's a bad precedent, especially for a future champion. Mikey Gills, I'll still say second favorite heavyweight because I think Romanov still kind of has your heart.
Well, honestly, we'll get into it more tonight with guys like Sirogani, but it is a beautiful time for heavyweight right now. Like the next generation is coming up, and Tom Aspinall is one of the guys leading the charge. Just goes out there. You're talking about the stoppage being a little bit early. I know Badeau didn't protest. He sat there like, yeah, I just got my ass whooped. Like he gave that look. So no, there was nothing controversial about it. He cashed for 106 points on DraftKings, first round finish. He was $9,400, the most expensive guy on the card. But I mean, screw it, he paid off. Tom Aspinall, let's go. English Frank Mir.
Next up, the Joker was duplicit in that knockout. Yeah, sorry, I had to make the terrible dad joke, but Dricus Duplessis got a KO left hook round 1 against Marcus Perez, who came out hard early, backed him against the cage. Duplessis, that is, throwed wildly, his chin up in the air, and like legit, Duplessis looked borderline scared in there, timid, just backing up, trying to stay away, and then Perez just left himself open, and apparently Duplessis has that kind of power. I mean, Perez doesn't have the greatest chin, but he just laid him out flat and gets the decision, and I guess Gotham City is safe again. Anything for this fight, or we can move on to another heavyweight fight?
This is one of the ones I didn't see, so all I know is that it cashed for 113 points. That's all I needed to see. So let's go Dricus.
Yeah, Perez basically just
DDP.
Sorry,
that was an old wrestling reference if you guys weren't paying attention.
No, I got it because I'm not a huge wrestling fan, but I love wrestling movies. So Ready to Rumble, I was right there for it. So there you go.
Yeah, all the WCW licensed guys in the late 90s.
A diamond upside down, like whatever. We'll just move on. It's Ben Rothwell lost to Marcin Tybura. I'm actually a little shocked about this, but ever since he popped Rothwell, that is by USADA, and coming back, he has not looked great. And this was a boring heavyweight fight for unanimous decision, but I guess you could have called it that way, whichever way you were going to pick it. In the co-main event, Edson Barboza, who we had inside the distance at plus 115, rocked Amir Khani multiple times in the first and second round, and then decided to dive on the ground and work for slow submissions versus a guy whose only chance is on the ground with his wrestling. I don't get it. Clear 30-26 unanimous decision, but I don't know if he was afraid of gassing by throwing too much heat too early, and he wanted to make sure that he lasted the whole fight, like didn't want to gas out. But oh man, it was so close. And I was counting my money each time it happened. I'm like, he knocked him down, he's gonna go for the finish. But I mean, in hindsight, it's true. Barbosa's ground and pound has always been a little iffy. It's either a clear one shot or like makes you drop on the feet from shots or takes you out with leg kicks. So I guess that's part of it, but I mean, clear win for him. I guess just this is one of the reasons I don't go for props, because I feel happy, but I also feel a little bit dirty because I feel like I called the fight exactly how it went. It's just that like one more shot didn't land to make Amir Khani unconscious. Anything to say about, is this one of the ones you saw, or we can move on to the main event?
Well, just one little quick thing about it was referring to the fact that Barboza wouldn't get it or couldn't get in there to get the finish. You have to start wondering, 34 years old, making that extra weight cut, like, is that part of it? Is that he just didn't trust himself, trust his gas tank or any of that because of the extra weight that he's cutting? That's the only thing that I would really take away from it. I mean, it sucks that we didn't get the inside the distance prop, but regardless, I mean, good for Barboza. I like when guys like that, you know, keep winning. Guys that you've been watching for that long, I like when they keep winning, but nothing else really. Congrats, Barboza. Congrats, not so much to us.
Yeah. Well, that type of luck kept going into the main event. When we broke down this fight, at least I know on my end, I said there was pretty much two ways this was going to go. I thought it was going to be Marlon Moraes early, like not letting Corey Sandhagen establish distance so he could throw and then just overwhelm him early, or Corey able to last, establish his range, and probably get a finish late when Moraes tired. In hindsight, I should have just said fight not go to decision, which I guess I should check that prop. But I'm not going to bet two props on a fight card. It's hard enough to get me to do one. But it was fairly close in the first round. I had it Sandhagen. He was doubling up shots on Moraes, who didn't have a sense of urgency. And on him, I for sure think it was him trying to save his gas tank, because he thought that's probably the only reason he lost to Cejudo. And then he just got hit with that round 2 wheel kick, and he just went down, man. I mean, obviously this is the Corey Sandhagen I thought we were always going to have, but I don't know. I guess I thought he wasn't as high up as I thought he was. So Mikey Gill's thoughts on the main event here, and that was a -1 unit for us on that one as well.
Yeah, no, I would just think like it makes you think those wheel kicks that do the most damage almost look like they don't even land. Like this one, you had to watch it 2 or 3 times to realize it hit.
It hit so like the furthest back point of his head with like the back of his ankle.
It reminded me of when JDS did it to Mark Hunt. He hit him with that spinning kick, and live I was like, it didn't even touch him. Like what happened? But it was another one of those. But no, I thought just like you did, or that maybe like, if Sandhagen was going to get the win, it would have been later on in the fight. But yeah, he threw a perfect kick. He was on it. He was setting him up for those kicks pretty much the whole fight. That one, the question mark kick that he hit him with earlier in the fight was beautiful. Just faked him straight to the body, boom, straight up to the face. Moraes just, you know, some nights you show up, some nights you don't. He got crushed for not showing up on this one though. So, all right, let's go.
That ends that fight card. -2 units for us, which you know by now, if you follow the show, is an extreme rarity. At absolute worst, we usually go 1-1, but here we went 0-2. But like I said before, DraftKings kind of saved us, and Mikey Gills. So Mikey Gills, if you would give a quick breakdown of how DraftKings did on the whole, so people can see how awesome you did and why you are just straight dressed to the nines.
Yeah, no, like I said, I can afford it now. That's fantastic. We cashed 5 of the 6 fights. Both of our underdogs hit. We cashed for 537 total. Tom Aspinall got us 106. Tagir Ulanbekov got us 84. DDP, Dricus Duplessis, got us 113. Ilya Taporia, our first underdog, cashed for 97.5. And then Chris, the Money Train Dawkins, that's his new nickname. I don't care what he calls himself. $7,000, 119 points. The only guy who let us down was Omar Morales, 17 points. I think I texted you immediately when after it finished, just like I can't pick a favorite for shit. But you know, it's whatever. I'm gonna be happy with this every single time. This is one of the times I'm a little mad at myself that I didn't play more of this lineup this week. I had it going in about 10 different ones, and we made a killing off of it. Just straight up, like, because I always like to talk about the one pool that we play this in each time. In terms of units, we made back 10 on this one. So I might just take the next couple of weeks off, and we'll still be good. But no,
just hang out, have like a fruity cocktail, like maybe something in a coconut, just feeling good.
Well, I have a Seagram's mango in the fridge. That might be my drink for tonight on that one. But no, great night for us. Like I said earlier, over the last 3 weeks, we've cashed on 6 or 7 of our underdogs. And again, the third underdog that we were going to play on this card this weekend was Buckley. We talked about him being the third one that we wanted to do, but obviously we didn't have to put him in the lineup. We should have over Morales, whatever. But it doesn't matter. Like we're hitting really good on this show right now. So I think I want to keep that. I'm jinxing the shit out of myself. I want to keep that going into this week is what I'm trying to say.
No, I think you will be good because you have been on the show for 6 weeks now or longer.
About that, yeah.
About that. You have only had one DraftKings lineup that was under 400, and the average so far, I believe, is at 450 plus. So that is.
I'm looking at them right now. There's a 448, 447, 405. Then we had the bad week of 371. After that, it was 492, and then we've got the 537 in there. So it is. We're looking good right now.
So actually, probably closer if you average out those top earners, probably closer to like 460, 470 for average. So hey, I undercut you. I apologize.
I'll take it.
Well, we're gonna go into UFC Fight Island 7. Yes, I know there should be another way to name these, but I don't want to call them the other thing, which is the UFC on ESPN Plus 38, whatever we are at this point. We need a new naming system, naming criteria. I thought it was gonna be better once we got an ESPN Plus, but alas, we're still not there. Either way. So
we have to get back to calling them things like UFC Fight Night 4 knockouts or something. I don't know. It's something awesome.
Like, I mean, there's so many ridiculous, awesome, but still ridiculous names you can come off the island theme.
Mm-hmm. What was the actual knockout one that didn't have any knockouts? It was Chuck versus Vanderlei. I think it was UFC 79 or something like that. Yeah, they called it knockout, and there wasn't one the entire night.
No, I know. Yeah. I think they fought at 75. I don't know.
That could be it.
That doesn't matter. We'll look it up. We'll bring it back later. Next time I make Mikey Gills talk, I will look that up to make sure you guys are accurate, even though I know there's probably like 5 to 10 of you crazy diehard people that as soon as we said that, you in your head, you're like, it's this number. Why would you ruin it? So
yeah. They turned us off. They're like, these fucking amateurs.
Because I'm realizing if you're watching live, I won't do this next week. I wore my glasses because my contacts have been drying out, but now I'm like, it's shining with the lamp. It's like this whole thing, but it's okay because I got one of my Dutch shirts on. Keep on clomping, so it's all good. So back to fighting.
Yes.
Faraz? No, it's with an E. Whatever. Faraz Ziam plus 120 versus Jamie Malarkey. Yes, that is an actual person's name. Minus 140. Mikey Gills, what do you have going for this very first fight on Fight Island?
Let's start off with Faraz Ziam. 10-3, 4 knockouts, 5 subs. He's 6'1", 75 and a half inch reach, going off for $7,900. Lost his UFC debut in September of last year. He was out grappled by Don Madge. He won his previous 5 fights leading up to that. A little bit of details about him. He's a former K1 European kickboxing champ. Brings in that high level. He's got really good hands. Throws nice solid kicks. Nothing you wouldn't expect from a kickboxer. But the one thing that he brings that you wouldn't expect, he's actually pretty decent on the ground. Like I said, 5 submissions. I think what might happen is people take him down not expecting anything. Like they might have like a cakewalk situation once they get him down, and then all of a sudden he's pulling up their arm. And they're like, they start freaking out and just tap out of fear. But he's going up against Jamie Malarkey, 12-3, 8 knockouts, 4 subs. 6 foot, 74 inch reach for $8,300. Lost his UFC debut against Brad Riddell, but that was an absolute hell of a fight. Taught you a lot about this guy. True finisher. He's actually finished every single win of his career. And like I said, the guy's just a dog. In this fight, he's going to need use his wrestling here, I think, to pretty much just get the kickboxing guy to the ground. Nothing super special in that. I like Malarkey in this fight. Like I was saying, he showed me everything that he needed to show me when he went against Liddell. This dude's got heart, and I think he just gets in there. He works his takedowns, works top control, and I think he gets it. $8,300. I think he's a good value pick. He can score.
No, I completely agree on that. I mean, obviously, I got to pick someone with the last name Malarkey. That's just that's bonus time right there. I mean, pretty much you got a good last name, I'm going to pick you. But even beyond that, I believe the odds got a little bit steeper because he was a little bit closer to even money, and I was starting to like it as a bet. But since he's early enough in the UFC, I kind of have a rule for the most part that I wait for at least 2 to 3 UFC fights so I can see how you're doing against that level of competition. But in terms of a pick, I'm right there with you on Jamie Malarkey. Next up, one of the Nurmagomedov clan, Saeed, minus 420 versus Mark Striegel, plus 335. Believe this is a cousin. Yes, I know, friends, cousins. It all gets a little bit jumbled. We actually had a conversation before this about all the different Nurmagomedovs at this point. Mikey Gills, Nurmagomedov, not the other one.
Yes.
First Mark Striegel.
Saeed, confusing last name. 13-2, 2 knockouts, 3 subs. He's 5'8" with a 70-inch reach, going off for $9,200 on DraftKings. He's 2-1 since entering the UFC. Lost his most recent fight to Raoni Barcelos by decision. As opposed to a lot of guys like the Russian Dagestani crew people, he's also a lot more of a striker, which is weird because you see that with these Russian guys. Like, some of them are the Zabits, some of them are the Khabibs, and like it's kind of like a light versus dark side of the force thing. I'm not really sure, but I think in this fight, it's good that he has the grappling in his back pocket because he's going up against Mark Striegel, 18-2, no knockouts, 14 subs. He's 5'8", going off for $7,000. Making his UFC debut, he's won his last 4 fights in a row. Stylistically, he comes in from a Sambo background, a really pressure-heavy grappler. He's very physically strong. His style, he's constantly moving forward. He's going to push opponents against the cage. He's working for takedowns, and he submits almost everyone that he beats. This is an interesting matchup. I think it's Striegel's style is the X factor for me in this one. It's going to be the determining factor of me not picking Saeed for DraftKings. Like I said, he's going off at $9,200. And I think for this fight, Striegel's going to try to make this ugly, which tends to be low scoring. So unless Nurmagomedov can get that finish with his strikes a little later on in the fight, I think, for me, it's going to be a stay away. $9,200 for what I see, which could turn out to be a boring decision. That's a complete stay away from me. Striegel, $7,000. I think you can do better on the lower end, and we are going to do better than that on ours. So for me, this fight's a complete stay away, but it should be a win for Nurmagomedov regardless.
For me on this one, I am actually in a weird way leaning towards Mark Striegel. I know it's a while since that fight, but yeah, I think he looked fantastic against Kai Kara France. I mean, I know that it was a quick win, but I don't know. I think in this scenario, this is when a lot of people are playing up to the name of Nurmagomedov. I think that's why he has been such a huge favorite in his last go round and even the fight before that. And he ended up losing the last time around. So like you said, I do think that Striegel can make it ugly. And I know they're in Abu Dhabi, and I know there's a close connection between them and the Nurmagomedov family and how that's all worked out. But I don't know. I think Striegel is the real deal in general. And I like him in this matchup. I'm not gonna bet on him, but I will say I'll throw a pick there. So plus 335. If you're feeling a little bit froggy, this could be one of the ones that can make it. I would not be surprised if I heard about a split decision win for Mark Striegel. Actually got news. Real Mike should be hopping in any second. So if you hear a huge disparity in noise, it's because he's hopping in and he's likely to come in hot as he does, but maybe we'll fit one more in that he could jump in on. We have Gadza Murad, Antigulov plus 290 versus Madim Grisham minus 350. Mikey Gills, how are you feeling about apparently the only terrible light heavyweight Russian?
Yeah, these are some names, right? Gadza Murad, Antigulov. Wow. Okay, never mind. Moving on. 20-7.
He's the anti-Gulov. So I want to see him fight Gulov, and then the winner gets. I got nothing.
Yes, no, it's like the light and dark side argument we talked about in the last fight. Like he has like a polar opposite somewhere. But no, Antigulov, he's going on. He's 20-7, 4 knockouts, 15 submissions, 5'11", 70-inch reach, going off for $7,100. He's lost his last 3 straight. He's 2-3 overall on the UFC. The big knock against this guy is his gas tank issues. Like, he's like, how can you put this in a nice way? Like, he's the type of guy that gets tired walking out to the cage. Like, I'm into wrestling. If like WrestleMania 3 happened, like he needs that Andre the Giant cart that took him all the way out to the ring and back. And maybe then he can have some success. But this guy's strategy, he's going to come out strong. He's going to look for the takedown, hunt for the submission immediately. But if he doesn't get it, oh boy, because on the other side is Maxim Grisham. 30-8, 15 knockouts. I'm sorry, 38-2, 15 knockouts, 5 subs. He's 6'3" with a 73-inch reach, going off for $9,100. He lost his UFC debut to Marcin Tybura back in July. There were some circumstances surrounding that fight. It was on short notice and was up a weight class. Before that, however, he'd not lost in his previous 9 fights, although he did have 2 draws in the mix of that. But since 2011, his only loss is to Magomed Ankalaev, and we know how good that guy is. One day we might actually get the Ankalaev from Kutalaba fight. Just keep those guys like hermetically sealed in the bubble, and we'll figure this out. But for me, this fight, yeah, yeah, they made it again, but will we actually see it because they made it 19 times?
Yes.
But no, the fight, it's simple for me. Hammer down on Grisham. Antigulov, he just needs to get the quick sub, and I don't think he's going to get it. Grisham hasn't been subbed since 2011. I just don't see it happening here. For the higher-end guys on DraftKings, I like Grisham a lot at 9,100, way more than Said Nurmagomedov at 9,200. So hammer down on Grisham. What is up, Real Mike?
What up, dude? Nice hat, looking sharp as a motherfucker in here.
Yeah, thank you, sir. You like that?
I was jealous as fuck on the way home.
Show us pocket watch.
Did you see the pocket watch?
Oh, that set it off, dude. It's over.
We got paid this weekend. That's all this is about right here.
Hey, bro, money in the bank.
I wore this to Bob Evans. I don't give a shit anymore.
No worries.
Real Mike, how are you doing? Quick, cordial welcome, and how's life going before we jump back in?
It's going good, man. Just working my ass off in Hollywood for Netflix's it's called Who or You? You season 3. So we're just building all the sets for that. I guess it's a popular show. My lady loves it, and a bunch of girls, and I guess Mikey's a fan of it as well.
Dude, I'm a big fan of that show. So is my girl. Like, as soon as I told her you were working on it, she hits me up and she's like, "Oh, has he built the glass cage yet?" So,
dude, how come that's the first thing my lady asked for too? These girls are sick.
Yeah, no, that's his thing. Like he traps girls in the glass cage. That's like a big theme of the show.
Oh, so I just needed a glass cage and then just trap bitches? Is that's all we needed to do?
Pretty much. I mean, that's how I did it in high school. Works. High success.
What? Fuck. I fucked up.
I have no idea what this glass cage is. So I'm going to step out for a second.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's good because you wore your glasses, so you're seeing it through the lens.
You're through the. You are in. Are you? Are you the cage?
My brain is apparently.
He's like, I am caged right now.
Real Mike, we were just talking about Gadza Murad Antigulov versus Maxim Grisham. Nailed it that time. Light heavyweight fight. Who do you got in that one?
I like Grisham. I think that he's more athletic. I think that he to me has a higher ceiling. And Antigulov, I just don't like his game overall. I'm not to hate on him too much because I'll do that on when I really hate someone. But Antigulov is just kind of just there, So I like Grisham. I hope Grisham wins. I think he'll roll.
I like Grisham as well. I love the fact that, I mean, he did. It sounds terrible. I mean, obviously he was very undersized, but he didn't look terribly out of place fighting at heavyweight, and he's done good against heavyweights in the past. So I think he's going to have enough strength to be able to keep this on the feet against Antigulov, who will, like Mikey Gill said, tire out early. And I could see a second to third round, probably in the first 2 minutes, third round finish for Grisham. A little bit late for him, but I think Maximus can get it at that point. Now, next up, I think this is one of a few sacrificial fights on here. Jun Young Park minus 255 versus John Phillips plus 215. Mikey Gills, Park versus Phillips.
Let's start off with Jun Young Park, 11-4, 5 knockouts, 3 subs. He's 5'10" with a 73-inch reach, going off for $8,800. He's 1-1 since coming to the UFC, most recently beating Marc-Andre Barrial back in December of last year. On the feet, this guy is good at striking from distance. He's got a solid jab that he works behind. The one problem that I see with him is he can get drawn into wild exchanges, which is a slight worry for me, but that's negated for me by his other strengths. One being his chin, because he's never been knocked out. The other is that even though he's not a high-level grappler on paper, he has shown to have decent wrestling. We just talked about the Marc-Andre Barrial fight. He had really good wrestling, and that was a big part of him winning that fight. That's the game plan that we're going to have to beat Phillips over here. Because on the other side, we got John Phillips, 22-10, 19 of his 22 wins coming by knockout with 3 submissions. He's 5'11", 75-inch reach, going off for $7,400. His nickname says it all. He's the White Mike Tyson. He's 1-4 since entering the UFC. He's not the White Mike Tyson anymore. They had to change it to the Welsh something. But anyway, he's 1-4 since entering the UFC, most recently being sacrificed at the altar of Khamzat Chimaev. He is a true finisher, though. He's finished every single one of his career. I don't think it's going to matter in this one. I'm not going to pick somebody who lost to Frank Trigg in 2011. Park has a big edge in the grappling department in this fight. I think he uses it to avoid Phillips' power. I think he takes him down and dominates him. probably hunts for a submission. And at $8,800, I think Park is a lock on DraftKings. I would take him all day, and he's going in our lineup.
Real Mike.
Yeah,
Clark Phillips.
I agree with Mikey. I think that Park is his jiu-jitsu game is way too much for Phillips. If he gets him on the ground and takes his back, it's gonna be a wrap right there. He's just longer. It's gonna be tough if he gets to the ground. But don't discount Phillips' one-shot knockout ability, because he can definitely get lucky and land one. But I don't think that Park's that type of dude. I think that he's going to have the game plan to go in there and get a decision win or a submission.
And if you couldn't tell by me introducing this fight, I kind of fed my cards a little bit. I think John Phillips is one of the ones where he is just a straight sacrifice on this one. They see his weaknesses and they like Park for some reason. Maybe they're trying to get another star in that side of the world there in South Korea. We'll talk about someone else on that a little bit later on the card, but obviously picking Park there. Next up, I'll say alone. Remember, there's two. Our first female fight of the night. Jillian, I stole my dyed red hair from random Marcos Robertson minus 225 versus Polyana Botelho plus 185. Mikey Gills, just this.
No, I'm really invested in this fight. Jillian Robertson, 8-4, 1 knockout, 6 submissions, 6 of her 8 wins by submission. Very important. 5'5", 63-inch reach, going for $8,700 on DraftKings. Spent most of her career in the UFC. She's 5-3 since losing on Tough. She's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and she's finished every single fight that she's won in the UFC. She's going to come in there with the same game plan every time, grappling heavy, relentless on takedowns. She's going to stay busy on top until she gets that submission. Going up against Polyana Botelho, 8-2, 6 knockouts, 0 subs. Is a very pure striker versus grappler match, in my opinion. 5'8", 67-inch reach, going for $7,500. She's 3-1 since entering the UFC. She's got good stand-up and technically sound Muay Thai striker. She can fight from the clinch, but that's probably not going to be what she wants to do in this fight. The one thing that I really wanted to point out with this fight is she was choked out just 2 fights ago by Cynthia Calvillo. I'm taking Robertson on this one all day. Botelho loves to strike in the clinch, and that's not going to be smart for her to do in this fight. So if you're taking away half of a Muay Thai striker's game plan, that's a really bad, Jenga piece to pull out for their style. And it's only a matter of time before Robinson gets this sub. I think $8,700. This is a gift, I feel like, for DraftKings. Same thing with Park in that price range. We're going to lock both of them up for our lineup.
Yeah, I just say the same exact thing. Robertson, I think's ground game is so far superior than the blue belt Botelho's has, that if she gets her down on the ground, she's absolutely fucked, and she's gonna be just in a world of shit. And all fights hit the ground at some point, and especially these women's matches, in my opinion. So I think that this is just a perfect matchup for her to just roll literally on the ground in jiu-jitsu and get a sub.
I'm not even preaching it. I'm just all in here. I mean, I'm not gonna bet anything. It just, I would echo many of the same statements. Just like Jillian Roberts, like one huge thing, feather in her cap is obviously she's at American Top Team, which for that weight class, 125, 115, even 135, that's kind of like has been the mecca of female MMA for like the top tier. I mean, we'll have one later on the card in the same weight class. You have the champions there, and I'm sorry, Botelho. I'm sorry, I butchered her name again. I gotta calm down that. Polyana, that's easier. There you go. She's at Nova União, which at one point was a amazing gym, but now there's just about nobody there for her to train with. At least anyone of substance, whereas Robertson, just caliber of training partners and looks that she gets to see, not to mention the coaching is far and above, not to mention her skill level. So yes, Robertson easy, and you might actually see a finish in one of these fights. That's awesome for a women's fight. Next up,
big chance in this one.
You're taking a big chance in this one. Next up, they're really messing with me, man, I swear. Okay, so breathe in deep. Matats Gamrot.
Nailed it.
Minus 280. Gurum Katetalidze.
Boom.
That was good. That was actually fucking good.
I'll take that second one. The first one, I don't think I pulled off, but this one I did. I'm pretty.
I was actually more impressed with the first one, but both were
See,
good.
you know, April, that you making me give me those happy tingles. Give me those happy tingles. I'm gonna pass those tingles over to Mikey Gills on this one to help us break down Gamrat versus Joe Gurm. I'm not even gonna try the last name again.
Yeah, no, I'll start off with I thought it was Mateus with a Z at the end. I like that. Mateus
Sure.
Gamrot. He
Ooh,
sounds straight
I
out
like
of a
that
Harry
better.
Potter movie, so I like him already. I don't care what his style is. I would bet on him. But as it turns out, he's also 17-0, 5 knockouts and 4 submissions, 5'10" with a 71-inch reach, going off for $8,900 on DraftKings. He's making his UFC debut. He's an undefeated fighter out of Poland. His style, if you watch him, nothing he really does on the feet blows your socks off. He is very busy with his grappling, though. I think just watching his fight tapes, that was the most important thing that he's going to bring into this fight. You watch him, and once he gets you down, he's a guy that stays busy. He advances his position, all the things that score on DraftKings. That's all the stuff that I'm looking at. On the other side, Guram Kutaladedzi.
First time.
Man, I messed it up. I was on a roll there. Anyway, 11-2, 7 knockouts, 1 submission. 5'11", $7,300 on DraftKings. Hasn't lost since 2015, and he's finished all but 2 fights since then. Stylistically, he's a good striker, throws a lot of heavy stuff, tends to get caught up in big exchanges, but he makes it work for him more often than he doesn't. The hole in his game that I see and is big for this fight is on the ground. And for me, that's why the odds are so far apart in this fight. I think this fight ends up on the ground sooner rather than later. And with a guy like Gamrot scoring points, you could do a lot worse on DraftKings. For his price, though, you kind of want more finishing ability. I still think he could pay off for you, but at $8,900, I think there are other people in that price range, both above him and below, that could pay off a little bit more. But again, you could do worse as well.
Yeah, on this one, Mateus, super, good physique, real strong, good finishing ability, standing and on the ground, more on the ground than standing, in my opinion. But Guram definitely gets himself in some slugfest where he could definitely, I feel like, can get hit by Mateus and then dropped on the floor and then end up definitely scrambling in different positions and transitions. So I think that Mateus's ground game is a little too much, and I think that he's going to stay undefeated here and roll.
I think we're going to continue the slow takeover that is Poland in the UFC. I'm going to go with Gamrot. He doesn't have the Polish power, but I do think he's just going to be able to take Guram down and control the better part of 3 rounds. I mean, he could take it easy if he wants, but if he can do that to Norman Park, which I'm not saying Norman Park's great, but I think Norman Park's better than Guram. So I'm with Gamrot. I think way too steep for me to throw anything on here, but I think it's a pretty clear decision. Next up, now we're getting some names that you guys recognize. We're getting some names that we recognize. Isn't that exciting? That's when things start to get exciting. Okay, so Claudio Silva is going to fight James.
Sorry.
Oh no. Actually, the hilarious thing about Claudio Silva is he's that guy that's been in the UFC forever, who has beaten the who's who, but you might not know who he is. He's fighting James Krauss at 170. James Krauss is stepping in late replacement type deal. Had a couple weeks there, but that's why he can make 170. Now, real Mike, I'm gonna throw this one to you first because I know you've been a fan of Claudio Silva in the past. Claudio Silva versus James Krauss.
Man, Claudio Silva's BJJ game is definitely next level. I'm having a hard time because I don't like James Krauss at all, and he's one of those guys that's getting better, and so I don't want to put my foot in my mouth too fast. So I don't know fully yet on this one. This is going to be the real deal test for me for James Krauss since he's came back. He's just, to me, he's been spotty, and then he's now been on a roll again, since he's been here in the UFC. And so I think that Claudio Silva is going to win and get a submission on the ground. That's what I really believe. But I don't know if that's a little bit of my hatred towards Krauss's ground game and him in general. So I'm going to go Silva by submission.
Mikey Gills.
Yeah, I guess I'll stay on Silva real quick. He's 14-1. 10 of those 14 wins are by submission, going off for $7,700 on DraftKings. He hasn't lost a fight since his pro debut, which was all the way back in 2007. He's 5-0 in the UFC, but he's only had 5 fights in the last 6 years. And At 38 years old, he hasn't fought since August of 2019. That would be the biggest thing I would worry about in this fight, more so than his opponent, James Krauss. 27-8, 8 knockouts, 15 subs. Another guy is really good on the ground, going off for $8,500 on DraftKings. He's stepping in on short notice, like you said. He did the same exact thing back in February against Trevin Giles. That was on even shorter notice. He stepped in, and a lot of people think he won the fight. I think it came down to the first round that everyone was kind of upset about. But you look at his career, he's in, aside from losing that one fight on short notice, which you can almost throw out, he won 4 straight before that. And you go back a few years, he's only ever been subbed twice, once by guillotine against Jesse Taylor, and the other one was all the way back in 2009 by Cowboy Cerrone. Krauss, my one problem with him is that he's one of those guys that he believes in his ground game, right? So he almost accepts takedowns because he wants to work from that position. And man, Silva is not the guy you want to play that game with. And you could do worse at $7,700. Because remember, if you're on DraftKings like I am, it's all about finding guys that have that clear path to a victory. And you look at Claudio Silva, man, 10 of his 14 wins are submission, and he's facing a guy who probably believes in his ground game wholeheartedly, but it just might not be enough. It's like trying to get into a gunfight with somebody who has a better gun. It might not be the greatest idea. 7,700, you might be able to go for that. 8,500 for Krauss, complete stay away from me.
I don't know. I'm sorry. In general, I just feel bad for James Krauss. This is a no-win scenario for him. I mean, I know he's jumping in late, so he's getting a paycheck. But other than that, this is literally a no-win for him because honestly, I think Claudio Silva's got a chance. He has the craziest UFC run ever with the comment. I mean, obviously, it's all wins, but it's against Brad Scott, who was a little something back in the day. He actually has a split decision win over Leon Edwards, who everyone's talking about now. Granted, that was 6 years ago, but it still happened. He goes cancel bout, fights, gets a quick sub, cancel bout, third round submission, first round submission. He actually was it 2019 was the first time he actually had like somewhat back-to-back fights. Like they were only 5 months apart. That was staggering. 2 fights canceled since then. Dude's 38. I mean, like as the guys have said, like his ground game is phenomenal, and he has like a stifling top control. So if James Krauss is willing to accept being on bottom, he's gonna do nothing. If James Krauss is smart, he will stay on the feet. His striking is better. I don't think he's gonna knock him out or anything like that, but I think he could add more strikes over time and add volume and just sail to a decision. But I'm nervous for him that he is going to do what Mike Gill said and accept getting taken down, and he's going to get manhandled down there. He's going to get subbed. I'm not saying that, but he's going to get manhandled. So actually at dog money, I actually do kind of like Claudio Silva here. This is not a bet, but like this is one that like if this gets too much higher, this might be a personal bet, not for the show, but I might sprinkle a little something on there personally.
Yeah.
Next up, we have a former Uber prospect that everyone was super, super high on. Thomas Almeida is -120 versus Jonathan Martinez +100. Mikey Gill's Almeida versus Martinez.
Oh, this is the coin flip fight of the night for me. Thomas Almeida's 22-3, 17 knockouts, 4 subs, going for $8,200 on DraftKings. He hasn't fought since January of 2018 after he lost last 2 fights in 3 of his last 4. We've talked before about people who get knocked out, taking bad losses, taking time off, and it being a good thing. I think for somebody like Almeida, that's the case in this one. It's a guy who needed to take some time off, needed to go back and refine his skills. I mean, his style is super aggressive. Like I said, 21 of his 22 wins are inside the distance. He's got that aggressive Muay Thai style. And, sometimes that doesn't age well. Sometimes you need to go back to the gym and try to maybe figure something out. Maybe that's what he's doing with this one. He's going to need it too. Going against Jonathan Martinez, 12-3, 7 knockouts, 2 subs, going off for $8,000 on DraftKings. He was 3-2 since coming to the UFC. Most recently finished Frankie Saenz with that flying knee back in August. His style, he's like a really patient striker on the feet. He's going to wait for you to come in there to make your mistakes. So these two, you can kind of see how they're maybe built for each other. And this fight, to me, it comes down to who's going to implement their game plan the best. They both play into each other's style. Almeida's going to walk down Martinez. Martinez is going to wait for him to try to land that perfect counter. But for me, I'll take the busier guy in the 3-round fight. I think that time off was great for Almeida. I think, gave him time to recharge his batteries, maybe recharge that chin a little bit. And I think he's going to be able to survive the counters. I think he's going to stay busy enough to land a lot. He can maybe get that late stoppage or maybe just a dominant decision. But for me, I'm going to roll with Almeida here at $8,200. $8,200.
It's a lot of bottles.
Yeah, sorry. My mind got all trapped like a bottle.
It's from that wedding. All those bottles at that wedding.
Still going.
Yeah, like Mikey said, this is definitely a coin flip, and it really shouldn't be. This is a fight that the OG Almeida should just absolutely dominate from pillar to post and teach the young buck how a 3-round affair is in the UFC. That's what Almeida should do this weekend. I'm gonna roll with that because I like to always back the OG versus the younger buck. But don't put it past Jonathan Martinez. He's got really good knees. His striking, like Mikey Gill said, counter striking is really, really good. He's super patient. He's not a guy who blows his wad or his gas tank really. I do like Jonathan Martinez a lot. I just think that I just have to roll with the OG versus the young buck. I think that Almeida has learned way too much, and I believe even Almeida's a black belt in jiu-jitsu as well. So I think it should be Almeida's fight to lose and win.
So 2 things. 1, just huge stitch back because I forgot to say it after I looked it up. Both me and Mikey Gills were both wrong. It was not UFC 79. It was not UFC 75. It was UFC 76. So we were sandwiching it in that. We were talking about UFC knockout where there were no knockouts. And you were close. Chuck Liddell was in it, but that was the decision loss versus Keith Jardine. So we were like a solid C. I mean, it was going to C on that one.
In my defense, that was back when I was playing competitive beer pong, and I would like go back to the house to watch fights completely blitzed.
We knew it was in the 70s.
I get it. And then on top of that, I apologize if you've been watching the video. You've seen me kind of be moving back and forth with that because I can't not hear Frankie Stein's name without start singing some Ace of Base in my head. So I've just been like I'm just doing a little bit of this. Like I apologize, but it has to happen. So back
now
to
it's in my head. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's gonna be in your head until you go to bed tonight. You're gonna dream about it. You're gonna wake up in the morning, and then you can thank me because that's gonna be a great dream. Sorry, I thought about something inappropriate. We're moving on. Thomas Almeida versus Jonathan Martinez. We're back on task. I mean, Almeida should roll. He absolutely should. He has all the skills, everything like that. This is by far the lowest level of competition he has fought in years. Granted, he hasn't fought a lot over the last few years, but the last jump of him not fighting is a good thing because I do really think I've said on the show before, once you get put out, depending how bad it is, like flash KO, like 6 months to a year, get your chin back. I mean, he's only lost to like the cream of the crop. Granted, it was when he started fighting the cream of the crop, but like I think he can settle in like a midway point and he still has some power. The counter strikes are tricky, but one thing that Almeida has always had for him is if he's going forward, is he throws so much output that you almost don't have time to counter because he's throwing simultaneous strikes almost. So I do like Almeida here. It's actually dipping. When I first made the notes for this show yesterday, he was -140. He's already down to -120. If he hits dog money, I'm going to have to bet Thomas Almeida. That's just how it is. As of right now, I am not because this one's a little bit closer than I think it should be. But if Almeida looks even a fraction of what he used to look like, this is going to be a steal, especially at dog money. So if this gets to, I'll put it on my Twitter if I end up betting it. But if this hits plus money, I'm all over it. Okay, next up. This one I think I could actually pull off. Modesto Bukowskis. I'm gonna go with that one, and like he should get his own individual Modelo sponsorship because his first name is right there. He's a +280 underdog versus Jimmy Crute -340. Yes, this is another sacrifice on the altar that is UFC. They liked Jimmy Crute at 205. He was looking good at 255. They want to give him a nice little treat to move on and get closer, so they have somewhat of a name to eventually a 205 title shot. Even though I'm sorry, I'm all in on Blackwoods now. He could do whatever he wants. He's going down to that Polish power. Sorry, I had to revert for a second. Real Mike, Bukowskis versus Crute.
Yeah, I mean, since Jimmy Cruz came in the UFC, Bob and I have been high on him. We've bet him, I think, once or twice while he's started, at least once for sure. I liked his ground game. I like his ground game a lot, especially his ground and pound. I think Bukowskis, he doesn't land as many per minute as Crute does, and I just feel like Crute's power is serious when he throws it. Also, when he gets you down on the ground and if he's in your guard, it doesn't even matter. He's gonna fuck you up bad with some punches. when he rains down with some hammer fist or whatever he wants to throw. He's got a real good ground game even past that to get out of your guard. So I think that this is a great fight for Jimmy Crute to showcase his skills. Also a great he has some great kicks, really powerful. I think that he can chop down some trees much like Mirko Cro Cop used to.
All right, so I'm kind of glad I went third on this one, because after both of you are very high on Jimmy Crute, and trust me, I like him too. He's 11-1, 4 knockouts, 4 submissions, 6'2", 72-inch reach. There's a hefty price, $9,000 on DraftKings, 3-1 in the UFC after winning on Dana White's Contender Series. He was climbing the ladder. He had those wins against Paul Craig and Sam Alvey, but then he lost to Misha Serkinov. Stylistically, he's everything you guys have said. Very strong wrestler. He's got power, good kick standing up, all that stuff. Going up against Modesto Bukowskis. Now, here's where we differ, and maybe this is a little touch of me just feeling myself a little bit. That sounded really bad. All right, scratch
pause 1 second. T, I need you to isolate that audio so we can do that later. Okay, go ahead.
Shit. Oh. All right, I quit. No, I like Bukowskis in this fight. Like I said, this might just be me feeling myself, just watching a little bit too much fight tape and going like, you know what? I'm trusting the hot hand right here. He's 11-2, 8 knockouts, 2 subs. He won his UFC debut back in July. Hasn't lost since 2016. He's won 7 straight since then, all by stoppage. Physically, what I really like about him is he looks like kind of a hybrid of Rory McDonald and Uncle Fester. You look at him, he's got those deep sunken in eyeballs. He's pretty freaky looking. But anyway, yeah, primarily a striker, works well from distance. Really good movement on the feet, really heavy leg kicks. He uses those from the outside to keep his opponents away. And to get no secret in this fight. To win it, he's going to need to keep it standing. And even when he does get taken down in his fights, you see him. He's really good at popping back up. He has like that old school Chuck Liddell vibe to him. Another thing, he's also got that Travis Brown vibe to him, where if he gets you along the cage, he has one knockout where he's got those brutal downward elbows that I love. You guys hear me talk about those all the time. Anyway, that might be one of the things that sold me on him. But anyway, battle of prospects for these two is who's going to, you could maybe see this fight later on. Like you said, the UFC really wants to promote Crute, but I'm taking the dog here. He's our only dog in our lineup tonight. Bukowskis got that slick movement on the feet. It's in the bigger cage. I think he can hurt Crute's legs with some kicks, stay away from him, and make it really tough for him to get him down. So for me, I'm rolling with Bukowskis. Let's go. He's only, what was he, $7,200. Let's roll.
Yeah, and it's not that I don't like Bukowskis. Like I say, switch stances strikes from both sides. Not that he's great. He's got good takedown defense or get up game versus who.
Yeah, sure.
Like that's the problem. That's the problem. So I need to see him get up versus Jimmy motherfucking Crute. And I think we got a problem once Jimmy gets him down. So we will find out. I'm okay with being against you. It's all good. And you definitely feel yourself, bro, because that's what we do.
Yeah, I'm feeling myself a lot. That was awful.
The best was after that, and after you acknowledge that, the very next thing he said, we're talking about your hot hand. So
like, whoa, bro.
Moving on to do a little in-show fact check for Real Mike. We bet Crute in the Alvey fight.
Yep.
And in the McCall Oleksiejczuk fight.
Okay. There we go.
I know he was the dog in the Oleksiejczuk fight. I could not find if he was versus Sam Alvey. And we stayed away from Serkinov because
I think he was like slight favor versus Alvey.
Yeah, that could be. Okay, either way. Cool, because he had just beaten. Okay, sorry. Moving on. Just wanted to clarify that. I always try to give you guys as much facts as possible so we're not completely talking out of our asses. In the co-main event. Yeah, I know. I said it. I'm not taking it back. Jessica Andrade, one of my actual absolute favorite female fighters, is -145 versus Caitlin Chukagian +125. I'm not going to show all of my cards yet, but I just want to throw out some information there because I don't know if you guys know this yet. Recently, in interviews, Caitlin Chukagian has said that she looks forward to settling down and starting a family. Once she starts a family, she will be done fighting, and she has considered this being her last fight. For sure, she's taking it one fight at a time. So just putting that out there for some info. And then Real Mike talked to me about the one-time champion versus the number 2 grunter in WMMA.
On this fight, Caitlin Chukagian, I've been high on her in the sense in women's MMA for a while too. She's Henzo Gracie black belt, and that's why we backed her in her last bout. I'm not sure if we bet her in that bout, but I know for sure that I pointed out the fact that
What was
she's a
her last
Henzo
fight?
Gracie. I don't know off the top of my head, but I know that I pointed it out that she was a Henzo Gracie black belt. It's not, there aren't very many women who get that award. It's not something that's given out just because you show up. She's tough as fuck. She literally, she has good striking. She's definitely one of the loudest strikers in MMA compared to like Holly Holm. If Serena Williams got here, she definitely would lose to her. But other than that, she has good boxing. She's got good movement. She has a really good ground game. So she has got really well-rounded mixed martial artist. So I like her here. I think that she's got the game where she can outmatch her opponent, and so I think she's going to roll here and most likely win a decision.
Coming to me, or you want to take this one?
No, you can go ahead. I was laughing at something else that I can go back to when it's my turn. All good.
It's all good. I guess let's start off on Jessica Andrade, 20-8, 7 knockouts, 7 subs, going off for $8,400 on DraftKings. Coming off the 2 losses to Zhang and Namajunas, and with nowhere else to go, time to change division. Seen this game before. Making the move up to flyweight. She'll have 10 pounds less to cut. Actually, I like this move for her, even with her the lack of height. She's like, I forgot to say it. She's 5'1". That's going to come up.
She's gonna gas. She's gonna gas so fucking fast in this heat, in this humidity, bro. She wasn't prepared. The bitch wasn't prepared for shit before, let alone cardio wise. You wait to see her when she's ate 10 pounds more food. Fat bitch get physical.
Now I look at it in the other direction. I look at it as she had 10 pounds less to cut. That's 10 pounds less that she had to work on fight week. She's going to be a little more rested, I think. But regardless, her style is not going to change. She's going to go in there throwing heat on every punch, walk her opponents down, maybe try to throw them down for get a takedown on them. And when she's fighting Caitlin Chukagian, 14-2, 2 knockouts, 1 sub, 5'9", which is a big one in this one. 66-inch reach or 68, depending on which site you want to read. $7,800 on DraftKings, going to 3-2 in her last 5. She's coming off 2 fights in a row against the Shevchenko sisters, winning and losing against the ones that make sense. Like I said, the massive height and reach difference, which is what, in this fight, she's going to need to use it because Andrade is a little Tasmanian devil. She's going to get in there winging her punches. And when it comes to me on a fight like this, betting wise, like I'm looking at the price right now on DraftKings, $8,400 for Andrade. I trust that. And here's why.
That's steep.
Here it is, though. Maybe it's because I grew up watching too many Leonard Garcia WEC fights, but judges just tend to always like that come forward, just style of just going, nuts on people. And I think even if she can't get the knockout or she can't get her down and doing anything, I think she's just going to be busier and she's going to land more. Even if the first, 10 strikes she throws in a combination don't land, the 11th will, and it's going to hurt. So for all that, I just think Andrade is the smarter pick in this. For $8,400, I feel good putting in her lineup.
Oh, sorry, I was laughing because Mike had brought up that he was pretty sure that we bet Chukagian and he wasn't sure if it was the last fight. Oh, it was for sure the last fight. That was against the Shevchenko sister.
Shevchenko bitch, yeah.
No, dude.
Shevchenko light.
I know, but listen to the odds, and this is why we were so confused and why we bet her. I wish we would have bet her more. She opened at plus 100 versus Antonio Shevchenko, and I know we got it. Closing odds was plus 130, but I'm pretty sure we got it at like 115 or something like that because we were like, this is the worst sister.
I can't believe I didn't bet my life on it.
In hindsight, you're like, because I was thinking back in my head, I'm like, well, her last fight was against Antonio Shevchenko. So she must have been like a minus 250 or minus 300 favorite, obviously. No. And then I just opened it up. So I apologize if we didn't bet bigger on that one. That was one of those ones. In terms of this fight, I'm staying away in terms of a bet because I know I have a bias towards Andrade and obviously Chukagian money. They've actually both won me money in the past. I just like how, in general, Andrade has looked very, very good against top tier competition. And although Chukagian has, I'm not saying that she hasn't. There's just been like, I'm sorry. I have a very bad way. I'm trying to find a nice way to put this, but there is a nice way to put it because it's a fighter that I just think is awful. Anyone that goes to split decision with Jessica, I can't trust you in general going forward unless it's glaring like the last fight. So I have no bet on this one. If it was 5-round fight, I would be on Chukagian all day. In terms of a 3-rounder, I could see Andrade getting the first 2. I don't think she's going to put her out of there, but or it's just honestly, this is going to be a split decision. So
I wouldn't bet this fight. I wouldn't bet.
Go with the
this
underdog
fight.
if you're going to bet it, and just flip those coins. Okay.
Wouldn't bet this fight with anyone's money.
Event, though. We have a
one more quick thing though, if just going back in terms of the DraftKings, Andrade is so busy with her punches that she does have a higher floor than most people, which is another reason.
Yeah, I see DraftKings 100% agree that she's better. She's the better pick for money or output and numbers. She's probably for sure going to win the numbers. She could lose the fight and have more numbers probably. Or could that be possible?
No, not really, but she does have the higher floor is what I was getting at, which means like even if she loses, she could still score you enough that it's not like Omar Morales last week for us getting us 17 points. Like it'll be something respectable at least.
Yeah. I think that reach is going to be something. If Caitlyn gets her back, she's fucked.
In the co-main event, a very, very exciting fight, mainly because Cyril, the Gane game train,
have been weak,
dude. But he's fighting Delija. Gane is minus 525, obviously. At 415 on the other side. Actually, me and Mikey Gills were talking before this fight. There's a fight, if you want to go back to it, it's the most ridiculous leg injury you've ever seen. Ante is fighting Marcin Tybura, and he jumps away from a strike, and you don't see the way his foot lands, but then he pretty much just topples over, and Tybura thinks it's from a strike and hops on top of him, has like full mount on his chest, and is just going to town. And they call the fight, and he's pointing out, "It's my leg, it's my leg." It literally just like snapped to the side, like stepped on the side of his foot, and it just gave.
Yeah,
I mean, he beat Ali Thompson since then, though. So that's a fighter he fought.
What I was gonna say real quick is like, I had to watch the Dak Prescott injury this week, and I'm just like, holy shit, like wow, awful. And then I'm doing fight tape for this one, and all of a sudden it was like, oh god, not again. It brought me back to when I was a kid. Like within a couple months of each other, you had like the Owen Hart fall, and then the Sid Vicious leg break. It was just too much for my brain.
That's perfect. Well, Real Mike, could you give your breakdown for this co-main event, and then we'll go Mikey Gills, and I'll finish it off before we head to the main event.
Yeah, on this one, Cyril Gane, super, massive specimen for this weight division, but just not a lot of experience. 6-0, not really fought the best competition. Very, very hard for me to judge. I don't really like heavyweight fights in general because guys like Cyril Gane can just throw a big ass hand, a big ass right hand, hit you in the back of the ear, and all of a sudden, fucking your fighter's done dead on the floor. So I personally don't bet these type of fights, but he's on the other hand, we got Antigulov, much more experience, 17-3. Might not, not versus the best competition either in the world as well. But still 17-3, has been in there much more often, has lost 2 to see what that feels like. I just think that this is a little too much for Gane too soon. I know Gane has the ability and could absolutely knock out anybody, could win in this weekend and knock out Ante, but I just don't think so. I think that Ante has more experience, is a more well-rounded mixed martial artist. But like I said, Gane is a specimen. He's the type of dude like that just fucking hits you one time like Ngannou and fucks your ass up. So the only reason why I just can't trust Gane, Cyril, is because the 6-0, man. I just really can't back 6-0, in the heavyweight division.
Yeah, I could definitely back him in this fight. I think Gane is really good to go in this one. The one thing that stands out for me is that if you look at Gane's opponents, they're not all of them are 6'5", 79-inch reach. Like a lot of people have always speculated that John Jones would struggle when he goes up against people that have like similar attributes that he does. This is one of those fights. D'Elia's 6'5", 79-inch reach, Gane is 6'4", 83. So that's one thing to look at. But Gane, he's real technical Muay Thai striker, and even if that's not working out for him, he's very slick on the ground. Going up against D'Elia, who's won his last 3 in a row, but he's making his UFC debut. Hasn't lost since that injury that Mike was talking about earlier. But yeah, it's like you're talking about. It's the experience gap between these two. Gane's one of the best prospects at heavyweight. Before we started the show, you weren't here yet. We were having a conversation about the future of heavyweight and like all these different prospects that are coming up right now. Like I love heavyweight. It's one of my favorite things to watch ever since I was a kid. But we have like Gane coming up, Romanov, all the other guys that we're talking about, Aspinall, name like 5 more of them that are coming up. I can't wait. But for me, Gone, $9,300 in this one. That's going to be a stay away from me, just because the experience is the one thing, but just I think there's better value for hundreds of dollars less on this fight. But if you're one of those people that just likes to lock in that sure thing at the top of the card, maybe you go for it. Heavyweights are fun to bet on, but for me, this fight is a complete stay away. I'm not going to trust Aaliyah either. So, Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, I stay, like I said, stay away. It's heavyweight fights. I don't trust them at all. It's very rare when I bet them or even want to touch them. These are the type of fights that I love to watch. I want to watch these two guys just club each other to death and one man stand up at the end of it, or both of them. Either way. So, like I said, I just don't like the experience gap on Gone. So I don't want to fight. I don't want to just be firing on something like that off the fact that he's just a freak specimen. He is. So everything looks good to me so far. I just need to see him versus someone,
Yep. Oh, no, absolutely. I'm sorry. I was giggling before. If anyone saw that, it wasn't anything you guys said. Was the fact, I guess, in the tape study and looking at the fighter, I never realized that Delija, not sure how the Croatians throw in those letters. His nickname is Walking Trouble, which is both hilarious and I just, sorry. That hit me in the right way. In terms of the fight itself, obviously the horrific leg injury we talked about.
I'm gonna steal that nickname when I'm at work.
That's a good one. Just Walking Trouble. Just like have it on the back of your shirt. It'd be perfect. Gane is a next level athlete. He just is. He's got the speed, he's got the power, he's got the reach, he's got the look, he's got just about everything. He's got like the raw physical power that we see in Ngannou. I'm not saying that because they pseudo may have trained at some point at the same gym. I'm not comparing them to each other. I'm just talking about he has a similar thing that Ngannou has, where like he has enough strength where he's just like, I'm not a submission guy, but you know what? I'm gonna get a Kimura because I'm just gonna bend your arm completely in the wrong way just because I feel like it. So like that level of strength and athleticism I'm talking about. But this guy, like, neither of them have fought really like any level of legit competition other than like Ante beating, like I said, Ali Thompson, who's way past his prime, and losing to Dion Starling, who, if anyone knows that name, like last minute replacement in Strike Force versus like DC type level there. It's like it's not there for either of them. So I'm just going to go with the slightly more known commodity because he's used to UFC lights. Granted, it's in Abu Dhabi and there's no fans for at least this event, but I don't know, I'm going to go with Gane until that train falls off or until he fights an actually legitimate person or prospect that has some type of takedown ability or can actually counter. So I'll go with Gane, but not much more than that. So now in the main event, yes, jumping straight into that, the main event, because the main event is a phenomenal fight. It's a fight we've been waiting for. It's an amazing, amazing, amazing fight. We're going to do this one in a slightly bit different order, only because I think it transitions well into talking about DraftKings. Is first, I'm going to give this main event to the real Mike. Then I'm going to break it down. Then we're going to give it to Mikey Gills. And then after he breaks it down, then he could talk about our full DraftKings lineup. And then I'll review the bets, the bet of the card. Because real Mike messaged me about this card, messaged me about this fight for our bet. And we have a very particular kind of bet that takes agreement from both men. Going with men here. 6'4", I'd call myself a man. And
a big man.
Yeah, there you go. And there, and this is one of them. We we will only do a max bet if we both agree, and I am 100% in all on this one. And judging by Mikey talking about Mike Gills earlier, this is kind of like this is just a trinity of decision going on right here. So I'm gonna go with real Mike first because you were the one that messaged out first. So I'm giving you full credit for the initial inkling here. We have Brian T City Ortega plus 160 versus Chan Sung Jung, the Korean zombie, minus 185. By all means, wax poetic.
Man, the Korean zombie, one of my favorite fighters, is just so well-rounded, super exciting. Anywhere it goes, whether it's on the ground or it's standing, cardio-wise, has the full gas tank, everything that you need in a mixed martial artist. He is absolutely deadly too. The guy's IQ in real life is just up there. Brian Ortega, his jiu-jitsu is amazing. Of course, great jiu-jitsu black belt, absolutely unreal. Has an unreal guillotine choke that ended up getting him pretty much this far in his career. when he's subbing people by Hail Marys. But in real life, that just doesn't get you. That doesn't get you in the upper echelon. He was throwing out Hail Mary subs and landing them, which were fucking unreal, blowing my mind. But that's not going to work here. Korean Zombie throws so much more volume. Brian T. City Ortega takes that volume. He absorbs that volume per minute more than Korean Zombie does. He's going to have a real big problem with the hands and the takedown defense of Korean Zombie. I think that once Ortega gives his best 1-2 rounds, Korean Zombie is going to absolutely just beat the fucking shit out of his face. His face is going to be minced up, battered, and bruised. He's going to absolutely learn a lesson here for calling out Korean Zombie and his manager disrespecting him. So this is why we're calling out a max bet here. The only person that even Yair Rodriguez fucking got lucky, man. He was losing that whole fight. Pretty much to me, he was going to lose it. We had a bet on that. I might have been a max bet even at that as well. But the point is here, Korean Zombie, we back him here. We got him. He's friggin' dedicated to his country. He's dedicated to his art. That motherfucker is a mixed martial artist, a ninja. He's a savage. Brian T. City Ortega got himself in trouble by calling out this guy. But so Korean Zombie, max bet. What's the odds at, Bob?
Minus 185.
Jeez, that's a beautiful number for that. Oh, I love it. 5 units on the Korean Zombie to show Brian T. City Ortega how to do that thing.
And that would be to win 2.7 units. Don't worry, I will repeat that later. In terms of my side of this one, I'm 100% with Real Mike on this one, but also with some reasoning outside of the cage. Now, anyone who's excited for this fight knows about some of the backstory. Now, you have a lot of bad blood going here, and you have Ortega who's taking it serious. Now, he's not the type of dude that when he takes it serious, he wants to hurt you. He wants to hurt you bad. He wants to throw hands. The biggest calming factor in Brian Ortega's life, his entire life, since he was an early teenager, has been Rener Gracie. Rener Gracie, week out from the fight, test positive for COVID. He's not making the trip to Abu Dhabi. He will not be able to calm Brian Ortega down. He's going to come to throw hands. The dude's going against Max Holloway. He decides to box with him. Terrible idea. He's completely revamped his camp, sure, and hasn't fought in almost 2 years. So, I mean, there's that time out of the cage, obviously, not to mention tore LCL in his knee, whatever. He tore a ligament in his knee over the course of that when they were going to fight the first time. Is just utterly angry at Korean Zombie, his translator, the K-pop star who he ended up slapping. There's so much emotion in here. He's coming in to hurt. He's coming in to throw hands. He's not coming in to grapple. And I'm sorry, I don't care if you spent 2 years on your boxing and your striking. Your offensive striking was great. Your defensive was terrible. It's why Max Holloway ate you up. Korean Zombie will do the same exact thing. And he just does not have the striking acumen to be able to handle the, I'm going to say, controlled chaos, because he was really the Korean Zombie because he ran in, got hit a bunch, hit you more, crazy fight. Now it's controlled chaos, what we always wanted Just Engage to do, which he finally did in his last fight. It's like he's throwing hands, but he's also parrying. He's also having defense. He has head movement. He throws kicks in there. He throws with power. I am all in on the Korean Zombie here. And yes, this is a max bet, 5 units at the minus 185 to win 2.7. Mikey Gills, give us your take on this in terms of DraftKings, and then go down our DraftKings lineup. I say ours as the collective R, the MMA4Money, our DraftKings lineup for Fight Island 6 or 7, wherever we're at.
So I'm just listening to you guys talk. You guys have pretty much covered everything about Korean Zombie. The one thing I just can't stop thinking about is, like, what would his career have been like if he didn't have to take 4 years off in the middle? Think of all the guys, all the like, he could have fought Connor, like a prime like match right there. That would have been one of those things that we'd probably still be talking about today. We'd be arguing like, no, that was UFC 76 or whatever the hell. It would be one of those ones that you remember. But no.
Yeah, that's why I love him. So that's why I also love him so much. As I mean, it takes a special someone to love your country so much that you could go and take 4 years out of your prime to go and serve. I know you have no choice really over there in that sense, but he's proud to do what he does. He's proud to also now be a full-time mixed martial artist. And he, like I said, he has all that time to dedicate to whooping people's asses. So
yeah,
it's trouble.
Now, on the other side, if they gave out awards for overhyped fighters that I've never believed in, Brian Ortega's name is in that envelope.
Thank
100%.
you. I love him.
I've never understood. I mean, yeah, he's great at submissions. That's awesome. Cool. What else?
Cute.
I mean, if I saw the Edgar fight, if they fought 1,000 times, that finish never happens again, ever. It's just like the Yair Korean Zombie finish. You're never going to see that again if they fought 1,000,000 times. In the middle, I'm not going to pick the guy who, in the middle of a championship fight against Max Holloway, his opponent stopped to give him a legit boxing lesson because he felt bad about whooping his ass that much.
It's my favorite Max Holloway clip. It's my favorite Max Holloway clip.
That's a real thing that happened. He was like trying to help him out so he didn't have to whoop his ass that bad. Like, you get back onto Ortega. Yeah, he beat Moicano. Cool. Zombie beat him worse. Cub Swanson was old. Diego Brandao, I mean, who cares? Like, I just never believed in him. He got solid BJJ. You know, fantastic. I'm proud of you, buddy. Cool. You took 2 years off. You're not going to fix your striking in 2 years. You're not going to hit pads and all of a sudden come back off the shelf and be able to go toe-to-toe with Korean Zombie in this cage. It's not going to happen. Korean Zombie is at 8,600 on DraftKings. He's a lock on my lineup. I hope it goes 4 minutes and 59 seconds of pure ass whooping and we get that finish in the very end. So that's what I'm going with. Brian Ortega, $7,600. He's going to be such a big play because people are going to be hoping for that submission on DraftKings. I'm just hoping whoever I'm playing against in those final lineups has them going into the main event. That way I can sit back and just grab a beer and relax.
Let's go.
All right. So I guess we'll move right into this DraftKings thing real quick. All right. Like I said, I'm feeling myself with my hot hands right now. So for this card, you know, oh, Jesus, that's never going to stop. Anyway, you know, for this card, I avoided a lot of the top guys. I think there's really good value in the mid-tier fighters on this slate. I don't have as good a feeling for the underdog picks on this card as I have in recent others. So that's kind of why I've stayed away from a lot of the top price guys. But we're going to start off with Jung Park. It's $8,800. He's our most expensive play. He's much more well-rounded than John Phillips. I think he can avoid the big punches and either touch up Phillips on the feet for 3 straight rounds or take him down and get a submission. Either way, I think he scores some points. Next up at $8,700, Jillian Robinson, my favorite redhead, the rare female finishing machine. 7 of her 8 wins have been finishes, and if she can get Patello down, I think it's going to be another quick night. Shooting right back to our boy Korean Zombie at $8,600. I guess we don't have to go back through that. We just did. Jessica Andrade, $8,400. People might be worried about this new weight class or Chikagian's height. I'm not. I think both work in favor for what Andrade wants to do. She wants to get inside, throw bombs, switch to a clinch, and go for takedowns. I think Andrade throws a lot, and I'm thinking she gets the win. For $8,400, I love it. Next up at $8,200, our fifth plus side of the aisle here, so to speak, Thomas Almeida. I went back and forth on this pick between Almeida and Malarkey for $100 more, but at the end of the day, I think Almeida's a proven finisher who just did the right thing after losing a couple of big fights. He took the time off, and now he's going to come back refreshed and ready. I like his style. I think he stays after Martinez and either puts him away with something crazy or he stays really busy for a decision. Last up, it's our only dog pick on the slate, my boy Modesto Bukowskis. It's $7,200. There's a lot to like about him, but out of all the stuff that we've highlighted for me, it's the bigger cage factor for a guy like him that moves around. I think he can just stay away. He can touch up his opponent from a distance, get up if he is taken down. And for $7,200, I love him. This slate that we have, it leaves you with $100 if you wanted to change out someone in the mid-range. Like maybe you like Krauss instead of Andrade, or maybe you like Malarkey instead of Almeida. You could switch those out, and you still have some ways to work on this slate. But those are our guys. I'll read them off one more time real quick. Jung Park, Jillian Robertson, Korean Zombie, Jessica Andrade, Thomas Almeida, and Modesto Bukowskis. Let's go.
Fire.
And as a review, obviously, our big bet, our only bet, the only bet needed for this card is a max bet on the Korean Zombie minus 185 to win you 2.7. Now, obviously, we'll put that stuff out on Twitter. Same thing with the DraftKings. That stuff will all get updated later. Depending if things fall off, this card, again, we're in Abu Dhabi, so probably not. And if any additional personal bets on any of ours will also go on our Twitter. Now, Real Mike, anything to say to the people before we sign off for the week?
No, I just appreciate all you guys listening, subscribing, and liking each and every thing on Twitter, on our videos, and just supporting us all the way through. Thanks to Big Mikey for doing the DraftKings and killing it last week, and you, Bob, and as always, just appreciate it, all you guys.
Mikey Gills, anything to say to your fans?
Look, just roll with our DraftKings lineups. and you get pocket watches. That's all I'm going to say. Pocket watches.
Dude, I'm going to have to re-sign up at DraftKings because I do miss my pocket watch. Well, from me
Oh,
and from all of us, we will be back next week to preview UFC 254. You might not know what that means. That means it's Khabib versus Gagey time. Everybody, they're even talking about they might actually figure out a way to have fans in the stands for that.
oh yeah.
And you know what? Special time for me. It's a fantastic event, and I'm turning 33 that night, so it's going to be a great day all in all, man. So don't forget to subscribe to us on your platform of choice: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Podcast, RSS feed. Remember to subscribe to us on YouTube. If you're watching live on YouTube now, there's a subscribe button next to it. You can click on it. That'd be utterly fantastic. Please review us on the Apple Podcast. That actually does huge stuff. Yes, I know I'm repeating words over and over again. It started off as a stutter, and then now it's just my thing. Like, comment, share. Please spread the word. And with that, let's roll.